CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
And with spring break just around the corner, BC Ferries is warning you tonight that you'd better plan ahead if your travels take you across the water. If you're taking a ferry during spring break, BC Ferries says you should be making reservations if you want a specific sailing time. The last day of spring break is March 25th, expected to be the busiest day on the fleet. To help deal with the huge volume of traffic, Ferries is adding another 50 sailings between the main routes, or on the main route between Tsawwassen and Sports Bay from now until the end of March. The university, meantime, has come back to the drawing board and has come up with 5 new options for expanding parking space on campus. And now UVic wants to hear from you to see what parkade plan fits best. The university is holding public meetings on a proposed 7-level parkade for the future Centre for Athletics, Recreation and Special Abilities building. Saanich Council has already denied 2 applications to build that parkade, saying that there has not been enough public consultation. Some of the options now on the table include reducing the height of the parkade and relocating it altogether, or digging it deeper.
The first one is similar to the previous option, but it's 2 levels lower. Second option, is we would bury the parkade 2 levels underground, so it would have about the same amount of stalls, but 2 levels would be underground. The third option is moving it completely to what we call Lot 2. The fourth option is really a combination of the first and the third option, which is a reduced parkade attached to CARSA, and then some parking on Lot 2. And the final option is, again, parking attached to CARSA, but then additional parking on Lot 4, which is, for most people, the lot beside the stadium.
Each of those parkade options has a varying price, ranging from $20 million to $40 million. There is an open house underway tonight to get your input on this until 8 o'clock at Lambert Park Secondary School. 2 more open houses are being held if you can't make it tonight. One is this Saturday. That's at St. Aidan's Church from noon till 3. And another is at Queenswood on Arbutus Road, March 14th from 4 until 8 o'clock. It has been nearly a year since a Columbia Fuels truck crashed and flipped on the Malahat, spilling 42,000 liters of gasoline into the Goldstream River. And now the lawyer for the driver says his client plans to plead guilty to impaired driving. It was just about a year ago exactly when 34-year-old James Allen Charles Smith slammed his tanker truck into a rock wall, shutting the Malahat down for 6 hours. Smith is charged with impaired driving, driving with a blood alcohol level over 80 milligrams, and dangerous driving. There were fears that the Goldstream salmon run would be ruined this year, but thousands of chum did arrive in the fall. In July, Columbia Fuels confirmed that Smith had been fired from his job. His next court appearance is slated for April 11th. Well, the Forests Ministry has delivered a trespass notice to the person it believes has dumped tons of junk, including a number of old trucks on a piece of Crown land in the Highlands. CTV News first showed you those piles of junk last month after the homeowner on the adjacent property said he was sick and tired of looking at the mess. He was told by the province he was not allowed to remove it himself, and it could be years before the government got around to doing it. The ministry has given the owner of the junk until March 16th to remove the mess before the government does move in and clean it up. But so far, very little has been removed. Well, despite extremely mild temperatures in southwestern Ontario and Toronto and sunny skies in Halifax as well, Victoria once again today proved it is the best winter destination anywhere in Canada. And here's how. More than 2 billion blossoms have been tallied during this year's annual flower count. The tongue-in-cheek tourism promotion has been going strong for 36 years now, drawing national and international attention to the fact that Greater Victoria enjoys the mildest climate in the country.
We plant flowers in winter. We plant them. They're blooming, not just growing those annuals that you put 6 months away, but we're actually planting flowers that have that color all winter long. Try and do that in Edmonton or Nova Scotia. It's not going to happen. I mean, Victoria is the best blooming city anywhere in Canada.
The City of Victoria, by the way, won the Community Challenge, defending its title of Bloomingest Best Community, with people counting more flowers in Victoria proper than any other neighboring municipality. While the rest of the country, most of it at least, and much of the U.S., is still on the clutches of winter, Victoria enjoys springtime temperatures of 10 to 15 degrees. Well, there are more than 1,000 new reasons to dip your hook into Elk Lake this spring. The popular fishing hole has stocked up for trout season. The students from Lakeview Christian School were forming a bucket brigade this afternoon, dumping a school of trout into Elk Lake, and when the kids had hauled all they could, they brought in the fish pipe, snaking it into the water to fire the rest of the 18,000 trout into the lake. The Freshwater Fisheries Society of BC is stocking lakes in Greater Victoria with catchable rainbow trout and is offering fishing lessons to beginners as spring approaches.
It was very hyper, so I was about to creep out okay, he's gonna bite me. I just poured down fast.
What did you think about doing this?
It was good.
Yeah. Have you gone fishing before?
No.
Did you touch one?
Yeah. And it tried to bite me.
It's a great opportunity today for the children to see what we do. It gives them appreciation for the environment. So what we find in teaching them that we're putting the fish in, when they go out and go fishing, they're actually appreciating the whole environment, and then they become better stewards.
The first Learn to Fish class is being held Sunday, March 18th at the Elk Lake Fishing Pier. If you'd like to register for the class, go to gofishbc.com. If you are on a waiting list for elective surgery in British Columbia, the word tonight is you should prepare to wait just a little bit longer. There is a Canada-wide shortage of painkillers used in surgery after production problems from a main drug supplier in Quebec. In some cases, the company is the sole Canadian supplier for critical drugs. BC gets 75% of its normal supply, so elective surgery could be cancelled as a result if the cupboard begins to run bare. Hospitals right across the country are now sharing their supplies, and the health ministry says this province has about 14 days worth of the pain-killing drugs.
I've had a discussion with my colleagues in other provinces around coordinating our purchasing efforts and ensuring that the federal government does everything possible to expedite approvals.
The shortage has sparked outrage across the country since the drug company knew about those shortages as far back as November, and the federal government only chose to disclose the matter as of last month. Victoria Police are helping their fellow officers on the Lower Mainland tracking down Stanley Cup rioters. Victoria Reserve officers and volunteers were handing out wanted posters today. Vic PD is teaming up with Vancouver Police for Riot Roundup 2. The goal is to help find 100 people who took part in the 2011 playoff riot. More than 70,000 posters have been printed, and police are planning to blanket malls, schools, and universities.
We're really hoping that the community can come through for us and help us identify these people. There's a long list of faces on here, and we're hoping that the community will be able to help us put some names to those faces. We're not out for public shaming, but we need to get these people brought to justice so we can make sure that this doesn't happen again.
If you recognize any of the faces, you're asked to call the Integrated Riot Investigation Team. Vancouver Police announced today that that department's recommending charges against 3 more people. So far, 67 accused rioters have been charged. Well, teachers in Nanaimo were back in their classrooms today like their counterparts across the province. They say their 3-day strike has made a difference. Teachers went on strike on Monday and Tuesday, the day they held a rally at the legislature, and they were out again yesterday, but back in their classrooms today. A morale booster, they say, for teachers across the province, raising awareness of their issues. The Nanaimo District Teachers Association says teachers going back into their classrooms today feel a new measure of support from the public.
I think what we've done is really brought the issues that teachers are bringing forward to a much more public light. Before it was more behind the scenes in the media kind of deal, but now that they see that teachers are really mobilizing behind a common purpose, I think the public is going to see that as, okay, teachers really do care about this. This is something really important. And hopefully the extent of that is that they're going to get involved now and see this for what it is.
Parents we spoke to today said they didn't think the 3-day strike had any effect on the government's position, but they say the disruption and the public protests certainly did raise awareness.
It does affect a lot of people, the way childcare is these days and prices with everything going up. It's a big hit for some people to take either time off work or have to pay extra.
It's a small gesture that didn't really go too far.
I don't know about a leverage. I think awareness.
The BC Teachers Federation is indicating tonight that even if teachers are legislated back to work, the job action will continue, and teachers will not complete report cards. Just a short time ago, earlier this evening, Education Minister George Abbott issued a deadline telling parents and students they will have report cards in their hands by April 15th at the latest.
It is my hope, as I've said a number of times over the last couple of weeks, it's my hope that we will see completion of this legislation by Thursday. Again, in fairness to every parent and every student in British Columbia, we should know by the time parents and kids go on spring break that they are going to be coming back to a school and to a classroom after the end of the school break.
And you're going to do that any way you can?
Absolutely. You bet.
To get the report cards out by the deadline, the government would have to end or limit debate on the legislation to end the teachers' job action. The House doesn't sit tomorrow, and will have 4 days to get that done before the spring break for legislators next week.